If you thought Donald Trump's week was bad with all of the text messages coming out showing that all of his good friends and even his kids were concerned about his lack of response to the Capitol riots, if you think that was the epitome of Trump's bad week, then I've got some news for you. That doesn't even scratch the surface. Donald Trump's worst part of this week came in court from a man by the name of Trevor McFadden, Judge Trevor McFadden, who dismissed Donald Trump's legal challenge seeking to block his tax returns from making their way to the House Ways and Means Committee. And Judge McFadden just happens to be a Donald Trump appointee. So this was a guy that was fed to Donald Trump by Mitch McConnell, and Trump said, okay, I will appoint you to this lifetime judgeship. Here you go, the judge gets approved, owes his entire success to Donald Trump. But even he looked at this case, the legal arguments from Trump's lawyers, and said, y'all don't have a case. Your legal argument falls flat. And the judge in his decision did express concern about a congressional committee, wanting to get their hands on a president's tax returns. But the legal argument from Trump's lawyers was so bad that the judge said, I kind of have to go with the committee here. But don't worry, the judge did say, I'm going to put a 14-day stay on the execution of my dismissal so that you can decide whether you're going to release them, work with the committee on that, or you can decide if you want to appeal, at which point the stay becomes permanent until the appeals court ruling. So he did give him a little bit of wiggle room, as much as he possibly could. And yes, Donald Trump's lawyers already said, we are appealing this. So it'll go to appeals. Eventually it'll go to the Supreme Court. That's what's going to happen here. The problem is, their legal argument, as Judge McFadden correctly pointed out, is total garbage. They're trying to argue that Congress does not have a legitimate, legislative reason to do this, to get his tax returns. But the Ways and Means Committee said, actually we do, because we're actually considering legislation, to rewrite the rules for the IRS about how they handle presidential audits, for tax purposes. So that's a legitimate reason. If it is a piece of legislation they're considering writing, there's nothing Trump's lawyers can argue to undo that. And even if they came up with it after the fact, if they were like, hey, we want your tax returns. Okay, well, we need a legitimate reason. We're going to talk about legislation to possibly rein in the IRS and how they audit presidents. Okay, there's your reason. There's your rationale. You cannot undo that because now they've given it to you. Your one legal argument was they had no reason to do it. And if they give you a reason, your legal argument that your entire case is based upon falls apart. And that's what happened this week. And that is why Judge McFadden, again, a Trump appointee, a guy who's going to be serving on this bench until he either gets indicted, impeached, or retires. Yeah, even he said, I can't go with you. Your argument is just that bad. You asked for a reason. They gave you a reason. You may not like it, but they fulfilled the needs, and therefore they are entitled to these tax returns, pending, of course, your appeal and eventually the Supreme Court ruling that will come down on this. But as I always say in situations like this, when the Supreme Court has to rule on something that affects a president, even if it's a president they like, they would most likely go against that president in order to prevent their ruling from protecting a president they don't like in the future. Now, it will remain to be seen. God knows what could happen with this idiot Supreme Court we've got today, but I don't think they're willing to put this protection in place for all future presidents and, of course, past presidents, just to protect a guy who, no matter what he says, can't do a single thing to attack any of them. They've all got those lifetime appointments, and nothing short of evidence of criminal activity can take that away from any of them. From the district, the federal, the appellate, all the way to the Supreme Court. They've got those jobs for life. So Trump, I think, is eventually going to have to turn over those tax returns.